Okay, I think this is episode 10.
Oh my god.
I know, we're in the double digits.
10 of them.
10. We've done 10 of these.
That's pretty wild.
I know.
Yeah, look
at us
go. Oh my god. Finishing each other's sentences. It's been so many episodes.
We're spending too much time together.
Yeah.
So welcome to episode 10 of Gym and Tonic. We're here again with you guys. And I've spent the whole weekend with Robbie.
Yes.
Because I came to Mary Jane, can you lay down? Come here, I know. Because I went to my first ever Core Power Sculpt class on Friday.
It's pretty wild.
Which was so fun.
Yeah.
It was a blast.
Yeah.
I
Art
loved
was
it.
in there.
Art was in there. Ruthie was in there.
Yeah. Art gets down.
Yeah, well, he was behind me, so I didn't really...
But he creates the energy with the woos.
Oh, yes.
He's a woo guy.
He's a woo guy.
So it gets everybody going. Yeah, because it is, while some of those classes where you'll only have like one person that's going hard, the room doesn't move. So one person's going hard and everybody else is just kind of in their shells and they don't want to step out of it. But when you start wooing...
You bring everybody into it.
All of a sudden, there's two people going hard and then three, and then it creates a little ripple effect of the room. So Art's a lot of fun to have.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
He's great. It was so fun. I loved it.
And then Saturday,
yesterday we had another amazing Saturday Red Rocks workout, and we had how many people? Did you count?
The picture, I think there was like, I think the picture there was like 65, 66 people.
That's amazing.
It's hard to count because in the picture, I mean, it's even hard to get everybody's head in the frame, you know, how many people.
I know you were you were like, we're losing space. We're going to have to squeeze in. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. And it's not just seeing how at the beginning, there was just really, you couldn't get anybody to go out there. And now,
oh my gosh,
it's pretty wild. And then here we are today doing this. So
yeah, and then day 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's new in your life?
I went and saw Goose last night. Fiddler's Green. Goose. So this is a band that I went to with my buddy. The first time I ever heard them, my friend Mark, who goes to Commits Fitness.
Oh yeah, Mark. Yep.
Mark was he's like, dude, you got to come to Goose with me. He's like, this is gonna be the greatest show you've ever been to. And I was like, what the fuck is Goose?
Yeah, no, literally.
Yeah, and so when he sent me the album when I'm driving up to Red Rocks to meet him for the show, he sent me the album and I'm listening to it and it's horrible. I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry for Goose fans. I didn't like it. And then I got there and you park, you walk in. I'm alone. I'm trying to find Mark there, and it's just a sea of hippies. It's just hippies everywhere. I'm not saying anything bad about hippies, but I kind of stand out in a group of hippies. You know what I mean? Because I'm like not really a hippie.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for him, and I'm just like, man, this is gonna suck. And Goose is a band that they usually don't have an opener. So it's just them. They just come out there. So it's just silent. You're walking in there and you just hear the murmur of the crowd. And,
oh my goodness.
And I was like, man, this is not my scene. I finally find Mark. I get in there with the group. Those guys came out and it's the greatest show I've ever seen. Yeah, it was unreal. Yeah. They're a jam band. So it's like Fish or Grateful Dead, which is not my thing either. But I've never seen Fish or Grateful Dead live.
Right.
And that's what everybody says is that if the music, their albums are not where it's at. It's like you listen to the album so you can go to the show and sing along with them or whatever because it's different when you get to the show. But it was just fucking energy, and the light show was fantastic.
Oh,
yeah.
awesome.
So the second time I saw him was at the First Bank Center, up in Thornton, which is gone now, right?
Oh, I have no idea.
I think it's gone. I think they're doing away with it.
Oh, okay.
But I have a crazy experience about that place.
Okay.
That shit was wild. So the second time I saw Goose was at the First.
Robbie has the best stories.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's kind of wild. We get there and that's it kind of reminded me of, I don't know if you ever played the video game Guitar Hero.
I've never played, but I'm familiar with it. Yeah. So
you're in these venues where when you're playing the game, your band is on a stage and it's just kind of like you're not like in Red Rocks or. It's almost like a school auditorium. And that's what the First Bank Center reminded me of. It was like you had the floor and you had bleachers on the sides. So we went down on the floor and I've never seen this in the show before, but I'm pretty sure somebody died behind me, overdosed or something. Yeah, it was definitely crazy. the show went on. There was no break in the show. The music kept going, everything was going, the paramedics came in, and I could tell that it was serious by the demeanor of the paramedics. They got the girl out of there, but that was wild being next to that because you're trying to enjoy the show and you're like, it's literally right behind you. There's
it's killing my vibe.
Yeah, and they eventually got the girl out of there, and then we're pretending like it didn't happen. We're fucking jamming again. So then after the show's over, this is what's wild. So the First Bank Center, it kind of reminds me of the Belmar, but there's like a venue right in the middle of it.
Oh, I see what. Yeah.
So it's just like it's like a kind of like an outdoor mall, and there's bars, and it's upscale. It's nice.
Okay.
Except they had every street corner, they had these kids that had to be between 15 and 18 years old, teenage boys, and they had nitrous oxide tanks and selling balloons, $5 balloons, and everybody is buying them. And then you can see it looked like it's organized because you had guys kind of standing there watching. Yeah, and I kind of blew me away. It was like, is this? You get a license for that or what? You gotta.
That's wild.
Yeah, what do you do? How do you get that? Where you just show up at these venues and you put up? Because could you imagine that walking to Belmar and there's just like on every street corner nitrous oxide tanks and everybody huffing balloons? It was really, really kind of wild. Second time myself. So third time was at Fiddler's Green. We went to Fiddler's Green last night. And that was it was a good show. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah,
Fiddler's is an interesting venue. I don't know how I feel about it. If you don't get there super early, you're kind of fucked because you're like on the hill and it's just so crowded, and it's I don't know. I
started in the pit at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
And moved up to the hill.
Oh, did you?
Because I was getting a little.
You were getting.
There was just a lot
claustrophobic and stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was just and then it's wild to get up on the hill and it's immediately cooler. And what is going on here? Sure. If you're watching this outside of Denver. If you're in Denver, you know what I'm talking about. Are we in Seattle?
No, literally.
This is
crazy. It's been pouring rain for like 2 to 3 weeks. It's crazy.
It's crazy. And then the weather forecast is like the whole weekend is going to be in the 80s. And I get up today, I throw a tank top on, and I walk out, and it's back.
And it's rather cool. But he's still wearing a shorts and a t-shirt. So
barefoot.
He's like, instead of a tank top, I throw on a t-shirt instead.
Yeah, and I want to point this out.
Okay, Robbie.
So my friend fucking Rob gave me this shirt, and his name is fucking Rob. And
wait, what?
Yeah, his name is Rob, but we all call him fucking Rob. So
do I know him? Have I met him?
I don't think you've ever met him. Maybe at Red Rocks, because he comes to Red Rocks.
Okay. Fucking Rob, that's so funny.
Yeah. Rob's a good dude.
Okay.
Rob's a good dude. Rob is always bringing things for the group. Which I love that about him. And he just showed up and he had this shirt for me and said he had it custom made for me. Fucking namaste.
I love it so much.
Because sometimes if the sculpt is very intense, and boy, I hope my manager isn't watching this right now. Because sometimes when it's very intense, and I didn't do this on Friday, but when the class is like real intense at the end, if it's a group of people I'm very intimate with.
Yeah.
If I know all 40 people in the room, everybody knows me. Sometimes at the end of class, I will say
fucking namaste.
Fucking namaste.
Oh my god, amazing.
Yeah. And one time in the group chat, we were talking about Shavasana, and Rob said, "But did you get the nice, calm, soothing fucking namaste at the end?" So he and I don't know where the fucking Rob came from.
Yeah.
But we all call him fucking Rob to the point that he created his Core Power Yoga account with the name fucking Rob. So it shows up as fucking so Rob on the roster. Yeah. So he gave me this shirt. It's pretty sweet.
So when you were saying that somebody died behind you, right?
Yeah.
So
I assume.
Right, yeah. Or at least was not
something
okay.
Bad,
yeah. So there's a festival out here in Colorado. I'm gonna forget the name of it, but they call it like the Colorado Burning Man. Have you ever been?
Apogea, and I know about this. I saw this. Unreal.
So several of my friends went. They got all the way there. And then they shut the festival down because somebody was, distributing fentanyl, but was putting fentanyl and
was dosing
people without their permission.
Correct. And it came from the shit because they get this. I don't know a lot of. I know my ex-wife used to be in that community. She was like I think she was on the board. Yeah, this is like 15
long
years
time
ago.
ago.
Long time
Spider-Man.
ago. She's no longer, I don't think she's any longer.
Go lie down.
With it, but I am familiar with it. And I saw this on social media because I have a friend that's very integrated into that scene. And I think they called it an exodus, is what they call it. But they were all up there and they had to immediately, and this is kind of wild because you're up there in the mountains and at these festivals, you just be open and honest about it. I mean, people are going up there getting fucked up.
Oh,
and
for
not judging,
sure.
It's nothing wrong. I do that stuff too.
But I think the issue is, well, obviously the issue is like non-consensual drugging because in my early 20s, I went to this festival in upstate New York called Camp Bisco. If anybody has ever gone, it's literally, it was kind of by Albany and it was on land that was owned by the Hells Angels. It was 80 acres. Okay. And it was private property. So the cops weren't allowed on it. So, but it was, the security was the Hells Angels. And, you know, you would go in and basically if you had a little bit of stuff on you for just you, they didn't care. The issue was they didn't want you distributing it, right? So they would check you and they would just make sure that you didn't have a ton of stuff on you, right? But yeah, you go in, people assume that you're gonna go and you're probably gonna do some drugs, right? But I mean, if you are dosing, first of all, fentanyl of all things,
yeah, I was unfamiliar with
such an issue.
I was unfamiliar with what the substance was.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, it's people all over the place are, you know, people are buying and bringing testing strips to all sorts of places, whether it's concerts, whether it's house parties, whatever it is, because there's so much fentanyl in like cocaine and like weed and like you're finding it everywhere. It's laced because it's really cheap and they're putting it in drugs to, I don't know why. I think some people do it to be, you know,
I have no idea why they're doing it either.
Yeah. But I think also it's cheap and so it gives the drug a little bit more oomph, like a little bit, you know, when you're weighing it out, it has extra weight to it. And so they're, you know, but it's not pure cocaine. It's got fentanyl in it and you do a fucking line and you die, right? Like it's scary.
So what's crazy about Apogea too is so they're all up there in the mountains and you have to assume people are up there and they've already dosed.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, you know, like if you're taking mushrooms or acid, I mean, that stuff is in your system for a long time. Hours. Exactly. So they're up there and all of a sudden it's like you get this order that you have to evacuate immediately. You have to, and I think the term that they use is exodus. You have to get out of there immediately. Yeah. And then what I saw in the post on social media that I saw was like, hey, you need to be careful because now they're making you all leave and those cops can be posted up watching you leave and now you're in a car driving. And you might be on something. It turns into a trap-ish, you know. But it is wild, it was someone's doing it and then I went through and was reading the comments on that post and it was a surprising number of people that had that happen to them or someone they knew at previous events related to Apogea. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're dosing one of them was GHB.
That's
I don't know.
That's it's when you're roofing somebody.
Oh, okay.
That's what that is.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of nuts.
Years ago, this story like made me never because I've been to a shit ton of festivals and I never will buy drugs off of somebody I don't know because of this story. So my girlfriend, years and years ago, this is when we were in college, so we were pretty young. She went to a festival and she was given a MDMA pill. And back then, actually, I think they still do this. They would imprint them with a character of something, right? So like that you would know what you were getting based upon the character printed on the pill. So hers was like, oh my gosh, what was hers? Like Paul Frank or something. And so anyway, she thought she knew what she was getting. She took this pill. Turned out it was heroin. And she had a real bad time. And could have been really bad. But fortunately she was okay. But from then on, from that story, I was like, I'm never, ever going to accept anything from somebody that I don't know.
Yeah, and this is an interesting, just a concept. Have you ever seen the TV show The Wire?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Wire's an old show. And it's based off of real events in Baltimore, Maryland.
Right.
Back in the 70s. And they modernized it. And it's kind of wild watching it now because they modernized it to the late 90s, early 2000s.
Right, but now you watch it and you're like, it's so dated.
It's so dated, you know? But great show, but they show these things about society. And one of them is in Baltimore, because drugs is a problem. It's something it's always going to be there. And this is one of the reasons why I think things should kind of be legalized, in my opinion. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the right way to think. I'm just saying why I think, because this is never going to go away.
Yeah.
The issue of drugs is not going to go away. So making it illegal, in my opinion, is really just making it to where people that have the issues or the problems, now they're compounded, and it creates a snowball effect that you're going to stay in that system forever and ever and ever, as opposed to giving help. So in Baltimore, what they did like back in the 70s was they had this big gang, problem with the drugs and the gangs.
Yeah. And
it wasn't going to go away. And so the police chief just basically said, we're going to give you these 4 blocks and you stay there. We're not going to fuck with you guys. You can sell, you can buy, do whatever you want to in those 4 blocks. That's outside of where the families are, the senior citizens. And it solved the problem.
Wow.
The issue's still there. And then all of a sudden what happened was you had social groups coming in providing clean needles.
Right.
It became more about helping, and it's as opposed to hiding the issue and saying this is illegal and that's wrong for people that don't have to because usually the people that are making those laws or dealing with these things have no idea what that is like.
Yeah.
So you shove it in the corner and call it illegal and say it's wrong. Well, when you kind of open it up and allow it to be regulated, solutions start happening until the press got involved. So the press comes in, they got news cameras there, and what happens? They fire the police chief, disband it, and all the agreements, the the hood, and the gangs, those guys are pissed off at the police, and it just opens back up, and the issues are still there, as opposed to creating. So things like this is like, drugs and the fentanyl, all of that it's never going to go away.
No.
It will never, ever go away. And the war on drugs, like with, if you ever saw Narcos with Pablo Escobar?
Oh, yeah.
To me, I'm watching it, and the entire time I'm like, really, all you had to do was just legalize it and regulate it, and then the government starts taking the money, and it doesn't make it right, but it's just like at least it's being dealt with, as opposed to like you're just chasing this one guy who's just a billionaire. He's like in the Forbes list for one of the richest people on the planet, selling drugs around the planet, unregulated.
I know, and as this is a whole other conversation, but then if when it's illegal, then we end up putting all these black and brown people in prison, right? And then again, like you said, it just continues the cycle. And then they get out of prison, they don't have a job, and in prison we don't help them find employment. Like, there is no good system set up for that, to try to get these people and incorporate them back into society in a way that's productive. We don't do that for them. Yeah. It's kind of bullshit. So then they go back on the streets, they don't have any money, and they have no way to make money unless they go back into selling drugs. So I'm kind of with you. Yeah, so it's a shift of thinking in between saying there's black and white, right and wrong, and saying that there's areas of gray. Exactly. I think is a good segue into our topic of the day. Our topic of the day. Which is something I'm like, if anybody that knows me in fitness or nutrition knows what I am like a stickler of. Mm-hmm. Like what I stand for. Tracking. Is tracking and logging. Yeah. That's like my, if I can say like what is the most important thing that you should be doing, it is that. But in saying that, it's not black and white. Yeah, it's not black and white. And for me to say that is going to turn off a lot of people that are on the other side. So I'll always say this too, if you work with me, this is what I'm going to push for. And these are the people that I tend to work with, are people that can track and log. If you can't, I'll still work with you, because I do have clients that don't track and log and they refuse to track and log, and I get that. Yeah. But there are other people to work with who I'll say, like, you are someone that is great with it, because you see the other side of it. I do. I do see the other side of it. And I personally have been, like, I have personal experience with the other side of it, and I have a lot of clients and athletes that have also had personal experience. So I very much walk the line of some people do and some people don't. I know you get way more involved with your people who do track, right? Like you kind of keep tabs on them and you check in with them and you ask them to send you what they're doing, right? And I do have some people who do that. But I will say most of my people, if they are tracking, they're doing it on their own. And if they're making good progress, they don't rock the boat. If they're not, then I definitely check in with them and say, hey, what's going on? Can you bring me in your food journal? Let's talk about what I see. But I, and I know you do this too. We talk about so much of the holistic, like whole body of somebody and what somebody is doing in their lifestyle with regard to sleep, with regard to, obviously exercise and, what does their support system look like, right? So it's not just the food. I'd be curious to know how much you run into this when you're working with your people that track. I often wonder how truthful they are, especially when they're not seeing any progress.
Yes.
And how often would you say you run into that?
I can tell you one time for sure.
Okay.
I know one time for sure, and I kind of just backed out.
Really?
I just quit. Yeah, I just quit interacting and kind of let it go.
Okay.
And maybe that's right or wrong. I don't know, but that's just, I have a lot going on. It's like, yeah, I'm just not checking in anymore. I had a person that was going close to 400 pounds.
Wow.
And calorie count was 15 to 1,800 calories a day, eating 1,500 to 1,800 calories a day. And we went for months and there would be weight gain.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you can't look at somebody and say, you're not telling me the truth. But
I know.
Something's not adding up.
Something's not adding up.
Yeah.
And I do think there are situations for sure where maybe somebody isn't, like, for an example, let's look at peanut butter, right? If you're not measuring out a tablespoon of peanut butter, it's really easy to give yourself like a 2 to 3 tablespoon scoop of peanut butter and be like, oh, I'm tracking this as 1 tablespoon, which is about 100 calories. And in reality, maybe you're eating 300 calories there, right? Yeah. Like, so I know there are situations like that, or you give yourself a scoop of ice cream and you're like, this is 150 calories. In reality, you gave yourself a really big scoop, right? Or it comes down to alcohol, right? Things like that. But I don't know.
I've had one client that the weight was not moving. Mm-hmm. And so I send people to the body fat test place in Louisville with Roseanne.
Okay.
I wish I could remember the name of the place. I'll actually give her a shout out here in a minute. When you're talking, I'll pull up her number and give you guys a shout out if you want to get with her. But she does body displacement.
Okay.
So you get in a tank.
Love that.
Yeah, and
that's like some accurate shit.
100%. So most people that come to me with in-body scans, I tend to roll my eyes at those unless I'm seeing the same in-body scan 5 or 6 times in a row at the same time of day. It's like you need to do it at 8. If you're doing an in-body scan, it needs to be at 8 a.m. every day if that's your time. Whatever time you do the same time, and your water intake, everything needs to be the same.
Okay.
Because what time you ate, the amount of water that you have in your body affects those tests, because all it is sending an electrical signal through your body, and that's how it's dictating what your body fat percentage is. To me, the king and queen of all is density. Your body density is what's really telling you, the real tell. So to me, the gold standard is body displacement. Okay. But Roseanne, she does just the nutrition side of it. And I like working with Roseanne because she gives a different perspective to my clients. But at the same time, she piggybacks what I'm saying. And I do the same thing with her. So when I send them to her, I'm like, listen, she's going to give you a slightly different perspective. And I'm going to tell you this too. This is something I always, this is going to get a little off topic.
That's okay.
Okay, a little off topic.
We do that sometimes.
And I know a lot of people that watch this are Core Power Yoga members. They go to Core Power Yoga and they tend to follow one instructor. I think it's so beneficial for you to branch out and do different things. Instead of having one trainer, just one person that you go to, or one yoga instructor, branch out and go to many.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing yoga, try doing CrossFit, or try doing Orange Theory or Barry's Boot Camp. Branch out and just try some other things.
Totally.
And not meaning that you should abandon your people, but just get different perspectives because you're going to learn more. It's the difference between being like homeschooled and going to a public school. There's pros and cons to both, but when you're in a public school, you get like 15 teachers and you get a different perspective from everybody, as opposed to just hearing your parents and just their viewpoints. But Roseanne gives a different perspective, and the client, we found out kind of what I was doing is a little bit of my fault was we were calculating his calories slightly wrong with, he was eating like 400 to 500 extra calories a day, and she noticed it immediately. Oh. She immediately noticed it. Okay. And she was like, why are you, because it was, and I have a client right now doing the same thing where at nighttime, he doesn't wear his watch. So when he goes up in the morning and he looks at his calorie burn, he adds an extra 400 calories to his burn because he's burning calories while he's sleeping. And so we just said, well, just quit doing that. Because that 400 calories times seven days a week is 20, that's an extra 2,800 calories a day. So it's like, yeah, just quit doing that, like limit that. So she just gave a different perspective, and all of a sudden, the guy that I was working with, I sent to Roseanne, now his calories are in line.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it is just getting a different, so there are some times where it's just tracking things slightly off.
Yes.
But I have a guy right now, he's been at a deficit of 7,000 calories per week for 2 months, and his weight hasn't fluctuated. And I do not think he's being dishonest.
Okay.
But he's one that we immediately said, hey, there's 400 calories you're adding per night. Take those off. Yeah. And then we start looking at scrutiny because I'm like, that's a lot. 7,000, 7,000 calories, that's like 1,000 calories a day off. Yeah. How would you be eating an extra 1,000?
And that would be, if that was the case, you said per week?
He's been doing that for 2 months. His deficit has been roughly 7,000
per month or per week. Per week. So you would think he would be losing about 2 pounds a week.
2 pounds a week. So he should be losing 8 pounds a month. He should have lost 15 pounds by now.
And he hasn't.
And he hasn't lost any weight. So something is being unaccounted for. So there's one of two things. Is either there's a little bit of the calorie intake, and things like you said, the peanut butter. Another one, olive oil.
Oh yeah.
Olive oil, I don't think you realize how dense olive oil is and how many calories is in like a shot of olive oil. It's an extreme amount of calories. If you're doubling that, I mean, that can affect you.
Yeah, for sure. Get one of those sprays.
Yeah, the other one is your calorie burn, and you wear a watch.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Yeah, and I wear a watch.
And the accuracy or the inaccuracy of that.
Yeah.
Because so the first thing I'll say about the watches, especially when it comes to like heart rate, and honestly, the calorie burn on these watches is, in most cases, it correlates, like they look at your heart rate and
100%.
And they say, okay, how many, the watch is coming up with your calorie burn based upon your heart rate, right? So first of all, if you do not have a chest strap, your heart rate is not accurate on your watch, period, end of story. It's going by your wrist and it's not accurate. Now, is it like in the range in most cases? Probably.
It's close.
And I would say if you're going to look at your heart rate on your watch without a chest strap, the most information, like accurate information you could glean from that would be kind of like your HRV, right? So what is your heart rate variability in the morning, especially? What does your resting heart rate look like? And more so, how much is it changing? So like if your resting heart rate is normally 50 and you have a few days where it's 60, you might be overtraining. You might be getting sick, right? So that's something you could look at. But I definitely give a word of caution in looking at your heart rate very accurately if you're not wearing a chest strap. And therefore, your calorie burn is not going to be very accurate. Also, it's a piece of technology that is not taking into account you as a unique person and your metabolism.
Yes. So, which is why, like on my Apple Watch, when you start a workout, it has like 30 or 40 things that you can pick from. So it's got badminton,
literally.
Because this is why it's asking you that, because it's going to take an average of what the majority of people do for that exercise.
Yep.
So it's going to say badminton. Let's say you're playing badminton and you turn, because there's a badminton icon on there. You turn badminton on, it's going to say, well, the average person burns. Yeah, the average person burns about this amount of calories playing badminton, and then they sync it up with what your heart rate is according to your wrist, and that tells you what your average burn is going to be. But that doesn't take, you remember that Along Came Polly? You ever see that movie?
Yes, with Jennifer Aniston.
And Ben Stiller.
Oh my God, and he has the diarrhea in her house.
Yeah. So there's a scene where they're playing basketball with Philip C. Sophomore. What's his name?
I know who you're talking about.
Philip Seymour?
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman, that guy.
He's now dead.
He's not dead. But in that scene, they're playing basketball. That dude's all sweaty and like shooting bricks. And he's like, dude, his heart rate has to be going crazy. But there's a difference between his basketball and what Ben Stiller's playing.
And his calorie burn is going to be so much higher than Ben Stiller's if he is more of a sedentary person and is putting himself through that type of activity.
And he's like twice Ben Stiller's size in that
also
too.
That, yeah.
So everything that you're doing is based on an average of a broad stroke of people. So it is hard to use this to kind of get it dialed in. Now, for me, what I use my watch for is calibration. So I calibrate my watch with my phone with my weight, and that tells me kind of where I'm at. Mm-hmm. So let me explain this. When you were in elementary school and we were learning science, they would give us the thermometers and how to calibrate your thermometer. And if you remember, and I'm old, so I don't know how they do it now, but when I was a kid, they gave us the thermometers that had you would twist it, and that's what would twist the dial. So they would give you a glass of water, you'd put ice cubes in it, should be 32 degrees. You'd put the thermometer in, and then you would calibrate it to where it hits 32. Once it says 32, now your thermometer is calibrated, so when you test anything for temperature, it should be accurate.
Okay.
I use my watch with my phone to calibrate all of this based off of my weight. Okay. So I check my weight once a week. If I gain like a pound or 2 pounds in a week, or if my trend goes for a month where I'm like, yeah, I gained like 5 pounds, and my calories in versus my calories out are even, then I know I'm not doing something right and I need to look with more scrutiny, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So that's telling me that something isn't accurate, because your weight, according to science, is based off of if you eat 3,500 calories more a week, you're going to gain a pound. If you're at a deficit of 3,500 calories per week, you should lose a pound. So based off of my weight and what I'm inputting in, I know generally if I'm accurate or not. If that makes sense. Yeah. Now there's a lot of people well, actually, let's get into the study. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's get into the study. So, because a lot of you are probably watching right now or listening, and you don't know what we're talking about when we're saying the effects of what tracking is and the negative effects. The positive effects of tracking and logging for me is thinking about budgeting your time, your money. Same way that you do it is you have to look like, if you're budgeting your money, is how much you spend versus how much you earn. That's going to tell you if you're saving money or losing money. I do the same thing with tracking and logging. If you want to see if you're either eating too much, eating too less, you have to track it and you have to pay attention to it. But what does that do for some people? Mm-hmm. And there's a scientific study that we just looked at that showed that 17%.
16.4%.
16.4% of the people that were tested.
And these were women.
These were women between the ages of 17 and 35 that were using their fitness tracking app or their diet apps on here, which would be like for
fitness and nutrition. They were using like MyFitnessPal,
and then they were using a watch, some sort of monitoring of their exercise. So they're monitoring their exercise, they're monitoring their diet, and the negative effects that come with that, which are eating disorders, body
Dysmorphia,
but they didn't call it dysmorphia. But it is dysmorphia, but they called it body dissociation.
Oh, okay.
Body, I'll look at it here in a minute.
Yeah.
I'll pull it back up and look at it. But are the negative effects of it?
Yes.
And why that is for some people.
Yeah. No. It was, yeah. So we want to say that going back to what we were talking about earlier, there is a gray area here, right? Like there are pros and cons to each, and we really have to look at the individual person and what that person needs. I personally am someone who, I've been a runner since I was in junior high school. And I remember, most of my childhood, I never really thought about my body. And then I remember getting into high school and starting to get comments from coaches and from parents, not necessarily about my body, but just like hearing things in passing saying, well, this girl gained 10 pounds this year and look at how slow she is now. Or this girl went through puberty and she grew hips and she, lost 30 seconds off of her 5K. So I started hearing that and associating being thin with running fast, right? So about halfway through my high school career, I really started paying attention to my body and getting really obsessive about it, unfortunately. And my dad was kind of a factor in that. Like he would there was one time when I was a junior in track and I was the captain of our track team, and I had all the distance girls around me and I was giving them a pep talk before our races that day. It was a huge invitational, right? At our school. Tons of teams. And my dad came over in the middle of my pep talk and I had an Italian sausage that I had gotten from, we had a booster club that had a concession stand, and, we'd make money for the team through selling food at the concession stand during these invitationals. And I had gotten an Italian sausage from the concession stand on a bun. And I had it there, while I'm giving this pep talk or whatever. And my dad comes up to me in the middle of the pep talk and goes, "Why are you eating that?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "You should be ashamed of yourself eating an Italian sausage in front of your teammates while giving them a pep talk. You are not, the example you're setting is basically disgusting." And so that was kind of, that obviously played a role, and he would make comments and stuff to me. And anyway, when I got into college, I, gained some weight. It was freshman 15 or whatever. And I ended up transferring schools, and I was running, and I started tracking, and I started binging and purging. And it was bad. It was pretty bad for a couple of years. It was really bad. I'm lucky that nothing terrible really happened to me, because I could have made myself really sick, or I did make myself really sick, but I fortunately got back from it. But through that period of time, I realized that is not something. I become way too compulsive and way too obsessive about tracking my calories. And I also, and this actually happened a little bit later. This happened actually after I moved out to Colorado. I became a vegetarian for a few years, and I was kind of engaging in something called orthorexia, which is the obsession with eating healthy. So you're not necessarily tracking your calories, but you are so obsessed with not eating dessert, not eating junk food, that every single meal you're having is so healthy, and it ends up being really low calorie because there isn't a lot of sugar, there isn't a lot of fat, right? So there was a period of time where when I was a vegetarian, where I lost a lot of weight. And I look back at photos of myself sometimes, they come up on my memories, my Google Photos memories, and I'm like, I don't even recognize myself. And so anyway, through these experiences, I really have understood about myself that for me, the tracking is not helpful. And in fact, it's the opposite. I am lucky in that for the last probably 5 to 6 years of my life, I've really worked on something called intuitive eating. And I know there are different schools of thought out there about intuitive eating. There are people who really subscribe to it, and they believe that it's really important to become in tune with your body and have your body tell you when you're starting to get full and what you're craving, what you're not craving, and kind of listening to those cravings also. Like if you're craving a lot of sugar and a lot of fat, like why is that, right? Is there some hormonal component there? If you're overeating and your appetite is raring all the time, like what's going on there? But there are definitely people who don't believe in intuitive eating, and they say that intuitive eating is just a path into overeating, right? So I'm not here to say that one is right or wrong, but I'm just here to talk about the gray area of it all, and that there are going to be people out there who really love to track, and I know you're one of them, and it works really well for you. But there's also people out there like me who can't do it. And there's also people out there who, when we talk, I mean, right now we're talking about food trackers. The exercise is another portion of it, the obsessive exercise.
One. Yeah. So that is in this study, and actually I'm going to pull it up right here because I've got, and this is it. This is off of Science Direct, Psychology of Sport and Exercise.
Okay.
And this is from September. It says September 2025, but that's not right. But this is volume 80 of Psychology of Sport and Medicine. Or I'm sorry, Psychology of Sport and Exercise.
Okay.
And one of the things they talk about is compulsive exercise.
Yeah.
And it's something I didn't really think about. And now that I've read the study, I know people personally that do this are so fixated. And I look at like Yoga Sculpt. The majority of people in Yoga Sculpt are basing their exercise off of how many calories they're burning in that hour.
Yeah.
And how, and like I said, I don't want to say right or wrong, because everybody's different. This does work for some people. Some people can't, I look at how many calories I'm burning in an hour, but I'm not, that doesn't dictate. Yes.
Yeah.
Some of my best workouts.
It's a data point.
Yes. Some of my best workouts, I've burned like 300 calories an hour because I'm doing sets of 5 with 5-minute breaks.
Yeah.
And some of my favorite workouts are Yoga Sculpt, where I'm burning like 900 calories in an hour. But at the same time, when you're done, is like, what benefits did I get from each one of those?
Yes.
Was it more of a mental, psychological? Was it more for my cardio, my heart, my soul? Or is it really what's good for my body and what my body needs? Sometimes it's best to slow things down.
Absolutely.
If you're burning way more calories than you're eating, and you are not extremely overweight, what you're doing to your body may not be very good in the long run.
I know a few people in the running community who I've known for a few years, and they have overdone it, where they've been running maybe a few marathons a year. In my opinion, you should only do about 2 because it's so hard on your body. And what I notice a lot of them do is, rather than take 2 weeks off after a marathon where you're really not doing much activity at all, because again, it causes so much inflammation in your body and so much stress, they start running within 2 days of that marathon, and they just simply don't know how to take a break. And in almost every case, I see the rate of injury skyrocket.
Yes.
And the thing is, it doesn't always happen immediately, right? So this can happen. People can follow this routine for maybe a couple years, and they're fine, and then all of a sudden they end up with a stress fracture, right? And then they rehab that stress fracture, and then they get another stress fracture. Or you see interesting things happen with their bodies where they're putting on like a lot of extra weight, and they're eating, sometimes they're eating and exercising the same as they've been, but their bodies think that they've been starving themselves because they have been doing so much overactivity and not necessarily eating enough for that activity, that their bodies are like start to store fat because they're like, am I in a famine? And yeah, it can really be problematic.
Yeah, 100%. I notice the people that have the constant nicks, the bruises, the pains,
Ooh.
are the ones that tend to over exert all the time. And I know it's hard because I'm the same way. I know my personality because before I got into fitness, I partied. Mm-hmm. And so I have to go this way to stay. You
had a vice.
Yes.
And you just kind of change vices a little bit.
Yes. So I have to be on this side. And that's why, because I get, it's always been since I've been into fitness, people always, I get it all the time. They go, when's your rest day? And I go, I don't really have one. They go, but your body needs rest. I'm like, not everybody does. Well, I mean, I should take a rest, but at the same time, I feel like when I take my foot off the gas is where I start backing back down into this path, and I'm going to get stuck over here. And I just want to stay as far away from it as I can, so I go on this side of it.
Sure.
And I'm not saying I'm the model or the ideal for what you should be doing. Because I might, I have things. My flaw. That's a flaw right there.
Yeah.
Is going hard all the
time. You're flawed.
I love you so much. I love you so much. But it's just understanding that, looking at tracking data and kind of where you are and how it relates to where you are at is not thinking things always have to be just so black and white,
Yes, exactly.
You don't need to burn. It doesn't need to be all based off of your burn,
And in fact, you shouldn't be burning insane amounts of calories every single day. Just like you should not really be doing a HIIT workout every day, right? Yeah. Like a couple days a week, sure. But every single day you're doing a HIIT workout for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. Well, 2-hour HIIT workout would be insane. But I just mean a HIIT workout is tough. You're putting your body under a lot of stress. Just like even with running, like I'm not doing a speed workout every day. I'm doing it 2 days a week. And then the rest of the day, I'm running easy miles where my heart rate doesn't get above 140, right? So like it's just, there has to be a balance. And I have, there was a time in my life where I really pushed it. And I am telling you, every time I have done that for a period of time, I pay for it. And again, it may not be immediate. It may be a few months down the road or a year down the road, but there's always a price for something like that, right? Like you're going to pay a price eventually, and it's not really worth it. I don't think, I don't know if you guys ever follow this or not, but sometimes I will follow, like a career of somebody who, like, let's say somebody's a model, right? And for 15 years of their life, they're modeling at a really high level and they have to keep this certain body type. A lot of those women, if you look at them later in life, they are extremely overweight. It happens all the time because they starved their bodies for so many years that when they start to go through menopause and get older, their bodies are like, we're not doing this anymore. And I don't know, there's a price to pay for this stuff.
Always. So if you're listening, I would say really, it's tough. I really think, in my opinion, people that should really be tracking and logging, it's just a necessity, are people that are really trying to lose weight. Like if you're trying to lose a lot of weight, that's something that you should,
especially if it's a health concern.
If it's a health concern, like if you're going to a doctor and a doctor is like, you need to lose, like this is crucial to what you're doing, then yes, and just take it with a grain of salt. That it could. You just got to be very careful. If you're not overweight, like if you're where you should be, it's, like I said, I do it to keep track, to calibrate, to see where I'm at. It keeps me on track.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, one thing I'm not doing is I'm not trying to beat a calorie burn every day.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at like, I need to burn 1,000 calories of active calories today.
Yeah.
I need to burn 2,000 today. I don't even...
Well, you're really good at maintaining where you're at. Like, it's not like we look at you and every month you're a little smaller, where like it's become such an obsession that it's like, how small can I get my body? Or how big, right? The opposite of it.
Well,
how big can I get my body?
And that did happen to me, and you knew me for this. In 2023 was the year that I was going after my big lifts. So I was going after, I needed a 500-pound deadlift. Like, I needed that. It was essential to my well-being. I needed a 400-pound squat.
Okay.
I absolutely craved a 300-pound bench press. And there are some people that can do that without putting on a lot of mass. I think Ryan McClellan is his name. Ryan McClellan. If you look him up, I think that's his name. He is he's a power lifter, and he's extremely lean. He has a 400-pound bench press. Damn. And he's like 190 pounds, 180 pounds. I mean, there are some people that can do it. These are outliers.
Outliers for sure. For sure.
But most people that are lifting heavy have to add mass to increase their strength.
Yeah.
Eddie Hall, who broke the world record for the deadlift, part of his training was eating like 15,000 calories a day.
So wild.
And it took him a year to add mass to where he could lift enough. And I was doing that. I put on, right now I'm right around 192, 195. I got up to 215 pounds.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with it. And how it affected me was, if I didn't hit my lift, or if my calorie count was off, it would affect the way that I treated my children. It affected the way that I talked to everybody. It just affected me.
Affected your mood.
So in 2024, my goal, whatever, was let it go.
Let it go.
And I dropped 20 pounds so fast, and it hurt me. It hurt my heart. I want to be a fucking big dude, you know, but I kind of had to let that go because it was affecting my mental health.
Yeah.
And on top of that, how much money I was spending.
Oh my gosh, the food.
An extra 2,000 calories a day. And this is nuts. I calculated, I asked Google. It's kind of weird. You know what Google says the price per calorie is?
No.
I think it was like, it sounded like, I thought it was between 2 and 4 cents a calorie.
Oh, okay.
But it doesn't make sense because I'm like, I'm not spending, because if I look, I'm eating like 4,500 calories a day. Times that 0.04. That means I'm spending $180 a day on it.
Oh yeah, that doesn't really make sense.
It doesn't really make sense, but knowing the more calories you eat, the more money that you're spending. And it adds up, you know? So just, if you're listening to this, there's no right or wrong. There's only you. What
works for you.
Yeah, and you just have to figure that out. And you have to work with someone. If you're working, because I've had people too, I've had people text me that I've worked with for like a year that say, hey, this isn't working, you know? The tracking, you have me track on my calories all the time, taking videos of me working out, you know, like I've had people that are like, and no hard feelings. It's no hard feelings. Find the person that works for you, because that may not be me, and I'm not going to get my feelings hurt over it, that we're not a fit. Find that person. Same thing. I'm tracking, logging, intuitive eating. Amy would work with you, you know?
Yeah,
there's always a different patch. Just find what works for you ultimately, and just be very mindful about where you are at in your journey.
Mindfulness is, it's very important. I'm very much, when I coach my athletes and my clients with food, I'm very much quality over quantity, right? So I would rather you look at your quality of what you're eating before the quantity, right? And then if you want to track, because you're doing the quality, you're concentrating on the quality for a couple weeks, couple months, and you feel like it's not working for you the way you want it to, you want to see a bigger calorie deficit, whatever it is, great. But I would rather look at, are you eating Spider-Man, I can't. Are you eating enough fruits and vegetables and fiber and lean protein and getting enough protein and not eating so much junk food and things like that? And alcohol, look at your alcohol use, stuff like that. that's where I prefer you put your concentration first. And then, and that, I will say, that's good for everybody, right? Like, I know there's gray area with everything, but you should always look at the quality of what you're eating. You know, like, I think it's really important just for longevity and health and, you know, overall well-being.
Yeah, your weight is ultimately going to be dictated by how many calories you're eating. But your body composition is dictated by the content of your food. And I know we've said this before, but you can lose weight only eating donuts.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can 100% lose weight by only eating donuts, but what's going to happen to your body? You're going to still be fat. You know what I mean? You've heard of skinny fat.
Skinny fat.
Israel's like, you may lose a lot of weight, but your body is not going to be healthy.
Also, how are you going to feel? You're going to feel like crap every day.
Yeah. The content of your food and the balance of what you're eating is ultimately the most important thing that you can be doing, you know?
Yeah.
Because there's different body types for each person. If you may be a little heavy, you know, but if your body composition is closer to, you know, a lower body, you know, your body fat percentage is lower, it's
yeah. And you go to the doctor and your like your blood work says is great, like cool, you're healthy, right?
100%.
Like yeah. And Hyro and I actually talked about this, I think it was last week or whenever it was, but yeah, we were kind of like, it doesn't, like, your size doesn't necessarily dictate your health. People can be skinny and be in terrible health, and happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
Yeah.
I do think we should bring up one thing.
Okay.
Just because we get a lot of... we just get... And I know everybody's wondering, you know...
About my ghost?
About the ghost. What's going on with the ghost? Nothing. Huh. No knocking, no scratching.
I'm telling you, my roommate took the ghost with her because she was the worst. And so it makes sense that, you know, she was the worst. So when she moved in, there all of a sudden was a ghost because she brought a demon with her because she was a demon. That's my theory.
One thing that did feel pretty good was UC came to Sculpt.
I did. I came to Sculpt.
Came to the Belmar studio, and you got approached by someone that was like, recognized you.
Lindsay, yeah.
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 I watch.
But she was like, she was like, you gotta have me on because I have all sorts of ghost stories. And I looked at Robbie and I was like, did you hear that? Yeah. She has ghost stories too. And he was like, yeah, okay.
That's what I did. Yeah, so Lindsay, if you're watching, get over here.
Yeah, we'll have you on.
Get over here. We're up in Westminster, maybe in Rhino soon, maybe.
Maybe, or Sloan's Lake if I go to that.
But right now we're up here in Westminster.
Gonna hopefully move
soon. We're gonna try to get you on here. I know you got some valuable insight too, because Lindsay's very much into fitness too.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we need to start talking about having some guests on for sure.
Yeah, and
I think that would be very cool.
The real meat and potatoes of ghost hunting and ghost catching.
You know, I keep meaning to do this. I was talking I was emailing back and forth with a like a tarot card reader.
Oh, okay. This is great.
It's like, yeah, okay. And I was gonna have like a little get together and have her come and do readings for everybody. And I asked her, I was like, do you speak to, like, you know, are you a medium? Do you speak to ghosts and things? And because I think I have a ghost in my house. This was when I was hearing the ghost on a regular basis when my terrible demon roommate was still living with me. And unfortunately she said she doesn't do that. But I'm still hoping to get somebody in here to see if they can read anything about the house. I don't know.
Huh. It's very interesting.
But if I do rent my house out, because that's the plan, my plan is to move and rent this house out. I'm not going to disclose that there's a ghost here.
Yeah, I wonder. You just put that in a listing, like, yeah, there's a ghost. Just see there might be a ghost living here, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not going to let anybody know because then they won't move in.
But yeah, if you have ghost stories too.
Ghost stories too.
You drop in the comments. Comment on here. Tell us your story. Let us know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of Gym and Tonic.
We did it.
We did it.
Double digits.
Watch
out. We're big time now.
We're big time now. Yeah. Reach out to us for sponsorships.
Yes.
Collaborations.
We would love that. 100%.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thanks for tuning in.